What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Times.
What's up? What's up?
And LeVon Maynard.
Welcome to the show.
What is going on? So, excuse me, I'm starting to lose my voice. We're going to power through this. Please tune in throughout the rest of the week. Like, I know this one is the relaxed show where we talk about everything but cyber, a little bit sometimes. But Monday, we talk about Missouri potentially targeting a journalist due to them disclosing a data leak on a government website. And then we have our opinion about that. I think it's pretty interesting. Tuesday, we talk about Homeland Security warning of potential vulnerabilities and threats where hacktivists may be trying to kill people. There's a really good conversation to be had. And then we might talk about a little bit today about LeVon and the robot dogs with guns on their back. He's got to see firsthand with his own eyes and lived. And then Wednesday, really good discussion with Mr. Gabriel Davis from CISA. He goes into a little bit of his background, what brought him into cyber, and then what CISA is doing for the federal government and local municipalities and the full gamut of the services they provide. Really good conversation. You really get to know a lot about him and what he's currently doing. HBCU grad from STEM, diverse background. So good conversation. Definitely tune in. And as always, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Leave us feedback. Feedback is so important. I need to know what you like and what you don't like and what you want to hear more of. So with that being said, though, so it's Friday. How's y'all week been?
Pretty good. I can't complain. I as you mentioned, I saw some robot killer dogs. No, just like the general, many people may know already. General Dynamics, Boston Dynamics has some I don't know if they just call them like dogs, some like robotic dogs that are that can be used for multiple purposes, for like monitoring or like intelligence gathering, or for in this case I saw one that had some basically had like a rifle mounted on his back, and this was I saw at a Army Expo that happened in DC, and you can see it on the internet too if you just look it up. But they're developing these machines to be able to perform all kinds of random, like all kinds of functionality that you can imagine. And it also makes people think of like the Black Mirror, and there's a Black Mirror episode, and they look pretty much identical. And I don't know like the order of operations, like if the Black Mirror dogs were like created before these, or if they were after, if like they were inspired, like this inspired.
Oh, right.
Boston Dynamics to create these dogs, because they're like, I just saw a picture earlier today. I looked it up and I was like, dang, these are like exactly like the dogs and the creatures in the Black Mirror episode. I think it's like in the first season. But that was like really cool to see. And you can see them, they were able to go up the stairs, go down the stairs, able to pick up little blocks off the ground. I think I saw some report about some police department using these kind of dogs for like, I guess, to identify a criminal or find a criminal somewhere in like a building that they maybe didn't feel safe about entering, so they sent a dog in there, something like that. So it's obviously it's a good and bad thing. I mean, it's good that maybe we're using some of the technology to kind of save lives, and kind of put people at ease, and maybe not like put them in the line of danger, I guess. But at the same time, you never know. It's just kind of like a Terminator 2 type thing where these things will start moving on their own, and they can decide that they don't need the human race on the planet anymore. They need some the robots need to start taking over. So that's the only bad side about that. But it was actually pretty fun. Yeah, yeah, it was fun nonetheless to see that kind of stuff. But it is terrifying. You never know what can come out of that. But right now, I guess it's okay. Everything's good. They're controlled. They have to have like a joystick and everything, like like you might control like a remote control car, or like a freaking, I can't even think of the name
like
of
a drone,
the drone. Yeah, like a drone control. But it's really cool to see. And while I was there, I could see a lot of different cool military, advancements and products and stuff like that. It was pretty much a big old thing selling stuff to the Army, but that was cool to see. But besides that, I had a chance to watch some shows. One thing I wanted to bring highlight in this episode was had a chance to watch this series on Netflix called Alice in Borderland. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have seen that one or if anybody's like had a chance.
It keeps getting recommended to me, but I haven't checked it out yet.
Yeah, actually, I really enjoyed it. What brought my attention to it is I did a search for like Squid Game the other day. I forgot what I was looking for in relation to it, but people were saying you like Squid Games. Alice in Borderland is better than Squid Game, is what people were saying at the time.
Better than Squid Game.
Yeah. And I can see some pros and cons. I mean, obviously, Squid Game is different because it's I don't know. It's like they're very similar.
Battle
very
Royale.
Similar. Yeah.
Okay, so Alice in Borderlands is kind of like a battle royale because you speaking my language right now.
Yeah, and I enjoyed it. Yeah, I think you're gonna enjoy it, Ryan. Shannon, I don't know anything about Shannon right now.
Is there too much story? Like, do they get right to the killing?
They get right to the killing, really. They did.
Somebody at work brought that series up to me. We were talking about it at work, and I was like, "No, I haven't seen it." But so when you mentioned it, I was like, "Man, okay, maybe it's one of those things that's popular. Like whenever something gets popular on Netflix, it gets featured when you go to the front page, But yeah, somebody else brought the same thing up, and I just looked it up real quick, and I was like, "Oh, okay, that's interesting." But yeah, probably not. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, because Shannon didn't want to give Squid Games a shot, so I don't know if you can watch Alice in Borderland.
But, it just doesn't interest me, man. I'm just I don't know.
Yeah. So the Alice one is it's Japanese. It's not made in Korea, but this one is kind of similar premise. I'm trying to like describe it without giving too much away, but it's man, yeah, I'm trying to think about the best way to describe it. But basically, these guys, it's like it starts off with like three friends that all of a sudden, they're running from the cops, and they go into this restroom, and then all of a sudden, like the lights like flicker, and everything goes black, and then it cuts back on, and then like they leave the stall because all three of them were hiding in one stall. And they came out and they're looking around, and like there's nobody around anymore. Like there's nobody like in the bathroom. Nobody. They leave the bathroom, go into the streets. The streets are like bare. There's nobody walking around. There's empty cars. It's like pretty much all civilizations just disappeared. All humankind, at least, has disappeared from the land. And then all of a sudden, this like billboard lights up, kind of like Times Square, like they're sitting in like the Times Square of Tokyo, whatever it is, and it lights up and says like, the game is going to start in 10 minutes. Like this way, it has like an arrow pointing in a certain direction. And so they're like, what the hell's going on? Like there's nothing going on. We don't know what the hell is happening, why everybody disappeared. Also, they have to follow the arrow and go to this like arena, basically this game hall of some sort. And they're kind of forced to play these games to kind of like their life's on the line if they don't, come out as a victor in these games. And it's kind of like it starts snowballing from there. And some other people they figure out some other people are still around that start joining these games, and like, oh, okay, like where'd you come from, kind of thing. And then it kind of like it kind of builds from there, and you kind of figures out little piece by piece, figure out what's going on and what happened to people. But it's the first season, and I know they by the time you get to the end of it, this can be a season 2.
Okay,
but it was I think you'll like it, Ryan. Nonetheless, if you like Squid Games, I think you like this one. It's pretty dope. I'm definitely enjoying it. I'm looking forward to the next season.
Okay, I'll start today. I actually was looking for a show.
Yeah.
You sold me. While I'm producing this episode, I'll be watching Alice in Borderland.
Yeah, that's what's up. And I watched a bunch of other stuff. I was on an airplane, so I had a chance to watch some other flicks. Nothing that like knocked my socks off. I was like watching a bunch of stuff. I watched like this scary movie. I think it's something like no one leaves or something like that. No one can leave this place or something. And then I watched this movie called Paper Tigers, which is like it's on Netflix. It was like an okay movie. It's like it's about these 3 guys. It's like a black guy. I think one guy might be like Thai, another one might be like he might be Chinese or something. And so these three guys, as when they're young, they end up training underneath a kung fu master, and they're training the master. They're like so badass, they're kicking everybody's butt. They have these videos, they're recording like home videos of them, like getting kind of like backyard fights and stuff like that. They're kind of going maybe outside of like the kung fu, like honor, respect and humbleness. They're kind of like hockey and all this, and so it jumps forward like 20, 30 years in the future, and now they're old guys, and they're kind of like they're slowed down. They got families, life's changed, and like they kind of lost their step, and like pretty much what happens, like their master dies, and so they're trying to figure out who killed their master, but they're like the skills are completely lacking, and they're trying to like get their old self back, and it's kind of it's pretty much a comedy. It's a comedy / like this drama type stuff, but it's a cool movie. It's definitely nothing crazy. I'd say like you got to watch this, or like you'd be missing out if you don't see it. But it was a random one I came across because I like kind of kung fu flicks or whatever. But it was pretty cool. They had like a kind of an epic fight at the end, fighting some badass like assassin dude or whatever. But it was a cool movie to see. It's kind of like maybe kind of a feel good type movie, maybe I'd say family friendly, but it has a few like kind of like risque parts, I'd say. But it's pretty laid back. It's a pretty cool movie. But besides that, I was playing some games. I played a little bit of playing some more Psychonauts 2. I know that you mentioned you started it too, Ryan.
Yeah.
Played a little bit of that, and played some Destiny 2, and I think that's been like the most I've done this week, besides like hanging out with the wife and the dog. And it's good to come back home I was away from the house for a little bit this week, but it's good to come home and rest in your own bed. It always feels good after a long vacation, or not vacation, but a long trip.
Right.
So that's pretty good for me. But how about you guys? What you guys been up to?
What about you, Shannon?
So I played a little bit of Madden. Like they keep putting updates out, and then I play it to see if it got any better, and I'm like, nah, not really. So a couple games of that,
same old,
and then I'm done. Yeah, like that just fix doesn't help me any for what I want to do. When it came to what I was watching, I'm back kind of in my documentary phase again, right? So I watched this documentary on Gwen Shamlin. She was the leader of the Remembrance Church, I think is the name of it. But she's the one that died in that plane crash in Tennessee back in May. I don't know if you guys saw the news story on that. It was a documentary called The Way Down. And yeah, it just talks about how, so she was a church leader that pretty much her big thing was like weight loss, right? And they talk about how different members of the church and whatnot were part of the church and what they taught and what they preached, and how I'm not going to call them a cult necessarily. Like this wasn't like one of those things where they're trying to be like, oh, it's like Scientology or anything like that. But it's like whenever you have a documentary like this, they talk to it's always former members of the church. You know what I mean?
Right.
That are just like, this is what was going on behind the scenes and whatnot. It's just, I don't know. It was interesting to me because I watch a lot of that stuff, right? Like I watch the Scientology stuff. The Heaven's Gate stuff, like to see how do people get into these cults or get into these different things. Because I am a spiritual person, but I don't really practice organized religion, so to speak. You know what I mean? But like I believe in a higher being, but organized religion is just not for me. So it's one of those things where it interests me to see how people get caught into that to do these different cults or religions and stuff like that. But watch that. Watch Vacation Friends on Hulu. I don't know if you guys have seen
it.
Yeah, check that one out. Yeah.
I haven't seen it though.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Yeah, it's good.
It's just so like I like Rel Howery. If you haven't seen his comedy specials, you should give them a watch too.
Yeah.
They're hilarious.
Yeah.
But John Cena is funny to me. Like I don't know if it's because I just don't expect him to be or what, but like if you've ever seen Trainwreck, the one he did with Amy Schumer, like he was funny in that one. Even as a Peacemaker in Suicide Squad.
Right.
But yeah, Vacation Friends was pretty funny. I watched that today. And then I watched an old one I hadn't seen in a little while. It was John Ryan Shadow Recruit, the one that has Chris Pine in it. Captain Kirk from the new Star Trek.
Oh, okay.
I watched that one because I hadn't seen it in a while, and I was like, oh yeah, I was like, that's not bad. But that's pretty much it. Like not a lot of media watching or doing anything like that, but just those few things.
Okay.
But you,
okay.
Ryan.
So man, I finished something. Oh, I finished Star Trek Discovery. I finished the third season. The fourth season comes out like this fall or something like that. Really good. So if you're a Trekkie, it's a really good return to form for Star Trek. A little bit different. So I marathon that one to finish it. I started Enterprise. This is a Star Trek that everybody skipped. It's the one where they're just venturing into space, so they don't have warp drives. It's like really political because they're just discovering other alien races. I got through one episode. I was like, nope. Even the theme song was terrible. It's like some kind of weird country pop song or whatever, because they don't have they're not spacefaring, so they don't have the space sounds and all that stuff. It's really strange. It has the dude from Quantum Leap is the captain in this one, and they're very Navy because you would think, right? It's a spaceship, so they go underway on space missions. It's different. So if you're hardcore, maybe this is for you. But I thought I was hardcore, but I was like, nah, I don't care before warp drive. We just going to Venus and back. What?
So that's Scott Bakula, right? Didn't he do Battlestar Galactica or something like that too? He already did a.
He may have. Yeah, but he was definitely Quantum Leap because I remember watching him as a kid because I actually like that show. I like
the main character, the guy that's going
yes.
to all of it. Yeah. Scott Bakula is his name. See, now I got to look it up. I'll be like, okay, he did another sci-fi thing. It was, I think it was Battlestar Galactica.
It may have been. Yeah, I don't remember because Battlestar. Because I watched the new one and before I watched the old one, I was all over the place. But I don't know, man. It seemed like it was going to be okay, but again, I don't care about just the political game and working towards warp drive. I want you to already be in space. Doing space things, you know what I mean? It's too slow for me. So I finished Discovery. I started Another Life season 2. So that was a show from last season where, again, another space show, right? I like sci-fi, where they're going to colonize another planet. There's an alien artifact, obviously, that never goes well between different species not knowing each other, trusting each other. But season 2 kicks off with them killing off mad characters from season 1. I was like, oh, because what's cool about the show is they have a ship full of people who are in stasis, and as they need them, okay, team 1 needs an engineer, a doctor, so on and so forth. They wake up their team and then they start doing work. If somebody gets sick or injured or needs help, then they wake up somebody else. So as these people are dropping, they're like, okay, well, we have to wake up team 3 now because so-and-so and so-and-so is, no longer with us. So it's just interesting, right? You get new characters, fresh take on things. They woke a dude up who was very military minded. He was going crazy. He was like, you doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong, you're doing that wrong. He was like, we got to kill him. A totally different take on everybody else's perspective. So I like it. I think it's a pretty good show. I want to say, and it's like Shannon knows this, if a person changes their features or changes their hair color, they're a totally new person. I don't I think I'm face blind a little bit. I want to say the main character is Trinity from The Matrix. She looks just like her to me, except for she's blonde. I swear it's the same lady, but it might not be. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Trinity from The Matrix is the main character, and she does a really good job. First episode is crazy. I think the first episode.
What was the name of it again? What was the name of
it? Another Life on Netflix. Another Life, yeah. Pretty good. She's captain of the ship. The ship has to go really far. She has to give up her life basically to go and colonize a different world. So, but they have something like warp, so they can move really fast. But it takes, I think they said it would take 39 months to go from where they're at back to Earth. So
I think you're thinking of, she was in The Mandalorian. Was it Nico? Nico Breckenridge?
Yeah, Nico's the main character. See, I didn't watch The Mandalorian because I'm not a Star Wars guy.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I know who she is. Katie Sackhoff is her name.
So that's not Trinity from The Matrix.
No.
Does she look like her to you? Does she look like Trinity from The Matrix to you?
No, she does not.
Oh man, maybe I'm misremembering the movie. All right, I'm not racist. They're related. They're cousins, first cousins.
Wow,
looks just like her to me. But pretty good. I think she was in Battlestar Galactica. This lady as well. But yeah, I might be mixing her up with a different lady.
Oh man, I'm scared to look now. I'm
further and further down the rabbit hole. But I think it's a pretty good show. It deals with AI and space travel and colonization of the world and murder. There's some murder in it as well, and then interspecies dialect. So it's pretty cool, or politics, I should say. And then I started Psychonauts 2. So I started playing it. I made it to the hub world, the Mother Lobe. So I'm like at the very beginning. Like I got through like the training mission, and now I'm at the Mother Lobe. So I actually did start playing that. I downloaded Back for Blood.
That's right. So
by the creators of Left 4 Dead. So I'll probably jump into that. But I have not tried it yet. It's one of those games. It's a social game, right? So I'm going in solo. It might not be fun because I don't know who I'm playing with. But being in my time zone, it's impossible to really sync up with people without either they have to take time out of their life or I have to take time out of my sleep to make it happen. So I'll give it a shot. It's getting really good reviews. I'll give it a try. And then last night I saw Halloween Kills, which is the direct sequel to Halloween, the remaster reboot sequel that came out 2018, I want to say. It picks up right where the last one left off. So if you watch the first one, you know what I'm talking about. And Michael Myers is, I think he's more of a beast than any other Halloween movie ever. Because there's a lot of gore. He's getting it in. Really good cast. They bring back people from the original movie. Like, so not just oh man, I'm forgetting her name.
Jamie Lee Curtis, or
yeah, not just Jamie Lee Curtis, but they have other throwbacks as well. Like they do some flashbacking to give you to fill in some gaps between the first Halloween and its sequel back in the day. They give you a little bit more lore, but I just did not like the movie as much as I thought I would. Like it wasn't the acting, it wasn't the gore. Like I said, it had lots of callbacks to Easter eggs. But it finally answered the question, like, what if the whole town got tired of Michael Myers' crap and went on the offensive? And I was like, yeah, this is gonna be good. And then they all got really dumb really fast. It's like, you have the numbers. Like, what are you doing? Like, yeah, but that's some crazy kill scenes. Crazy scenes.
Here's the thing, though, right? Like, it's probably like if you got a crowd of people and somebody's got a gun, like you don't want to be the one to take the bullet. Like, even if there's 50 of you and there's only 17 bullets in this gun, you're like, I don't want to take one of those bullets, even though we outnumber them, right? Like, so it's like, that's why you can keep a circle, just going around like, get back. You know, you see that in all the movies. Man. Like nobody want to take it.
It's one of those situations where they get him down and they don't finish the job. Type where you're just like, why wouldn't you finish what you started? Yeah, like, that's cute. You have a knife, okay, but everyone has guns.
Right.
What are you doing? So I don't know. Like, of course they needed to make the ability to have more sequels. I get that, and then they give you like, because there's always the debate if he's just a 6-year-old in a giant man's body with, I think at one point they say with the mind of an animal, or is he supernatural, or is he both? They kind of give you a little bit more of that. You're like, oh, okay, I kind of get it.
Right.
So if I'm being honest, I've never watched any of the Halloweens. Like I haven't seen any of them. So is that so? Was he? From what I gather from like the previews I've seen, was he Jamie Lee Curtis's brother?
No. So he's he was a little boy, and at 6 years old, he killed his sister. And they never really know why. It's just like he has issues. So he killed his sister. And then he takes on the moniker, like he takes on the mask, and he starts to kill people. And they don't know why he's like killing in the pattern he's killing. And then it kind of solved that as well. They kind of explain why he does what he does. Because sometimes he doesn't kill. But Halloween is usually like how he gets down, right? So in the first movie, they finally stop him and they put him in a mental hospital. And they had the ability to kill him, but they didn't. Because they're like, no, he needs to serve his time or whatever. And then every so many years, he gets out and he does what he does. And then they put him back. But I don't want to give too much away, but he's not all what he seems to be. And they kind of go into the lore a little bit more about it. But like these people who have survived multiple Michael Myers attacks should know better. And they just, there's a point where things go from mob mentality to mass hysteria back to mob mentality. You're like, oh, okay, I kind of see they're trying to make it a little bit more human. I get that. But then at the end, it's just like, just finish it. just finish it. And they don't. So there'll be another Halloween.
So was she his psychiatrist or something? Or like what?
She was a babysitter who happened to just be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And she survives it, right? Like she's the one who finally confronts him at the end and not necessarily defeats him, but gets him to a state where they could take him to the mental hospital. And then she's just preparing for him to return because he comes back sometimes. So she's like, he's going to come back. He's not a human being. I got to protect my family. And then like because she's so obsessed with it, her oldest daughter kind of shuns her and doesn't want to be involved because she's the type of person who has built traps in the house and has guns everywhere and has teaching her how to use a blade in case he comes back. Like she goes on the deep end, right? So the daughter is like, I don't want nothing to do with this no more. I don't mess with your grandmother because she has her own daughter. She was like, we don't mess with grandma crazy. So then it pops off and guess who's the savior? Grandma's getting it in. She got the knives, she got the traps and whatnot. So you get to see the lineage of like, okay, like you've been training me my whole life to do this. Let's do this. And that's the last one, the one that was made back in 2018. You get to see that progression. And obviously they bring her back as the main character. So that's cool. And this one, it picks up like literally where the last one ended, it picks right up. It's like they were doing whatever they were doing. And then boom, the movie kicks off. And then Michael Myers, like, you like this. Like he gets right to business. He gets right to business. He takes out, I think like 11 people in that scene. He was like, oh, like, I think it's in the trailer. So I'm not spoiling anything. Like, so first responders come to put out a fire. He's in the fire. And then they're like, holy crap. There's a man in the fire. Right. And he starts going to work. Like he got like this hook axe thing. He's like putting them down. One dude, like, cause the firefighters are like, they got axes, right? So they come out with their axes swinging. He's like murdering them, literally. And then one dude has the jaws of life in his hand. He's like, bet, starts revving it up, gets ready to use the jaws of life. Nah, Michael Myers is like, give me that.
Give me that.
Give me that. And then he starts using on them. It's terrible, but it's a really good scene.
So did you watch the first one before you watched this one, like recently, or did you just? Because I haven't seen. I mean, not the first one, but the one prior to this one, I guess.
So I saw that one when it came out. I actually went to the theater and saw it. Because it was like 18, I think 2018. Halloween.
2018. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I can't even remember. I think I saw that one, but I don't even remember much about it. Actually, honestly, I can't remember the details, like where it ended. Because I remember him being like in jail, or whatever, and then like he got out, and like
right.
And then
it's the old trope, like why are you transporting this dude by bus?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. That kind of thing. Like let's transport him now. Yeah.
Yeah, this is not a good idea.
Right.
But yeah, so at the end of that movie, they trap him in the fire. And then this one picks up where they're escaping the fire and the fire trucks are zooming past them. And she's like, no, let it burn.
Right.
But she's in a state where she can't stop it.
Right. I think I remember it now.
Yeah. They get in there and he's just like, yep, I'm still here.
Yeah.
Apparently fire don't do nothing to me.
Right. Don't even phase him.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's not bad. Like it's definitely good on the gore. It's good on the lore because they do explain a lot of stuff that is just missing in the movies. And then you get a bunch of cameos from people. You're like, you still alive?
Yeah.
Like one lady was the nurse. Like there's a scene in the very first movie where he's escaping the asylum and he attacks a nurse and she survives. And they brought her back in this movie. I was like, wow, that's you dug deep.
Right.
You talking about the first movie like 40 years ago?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Damn.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy how deep they reach. And then obviously other characters are recast and then they fill in some gaps, like they do some backstory that wasn't in the originals, but it fleshes out the story. So I'm talking it up, but the ending was lacking for me. Just because I thought they were going somewhere that they didn't. But all in all though, like it's worth, I say it's like, it was worth my $7.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm probably gonna wait for that one to come out, like on some sort of streaming service. But it's like I would consider going to the theater, but the wife is definitely not gonna. The wife is not as big into scary movies. She gets a little.
Gotcha.
She just like doesn't enjoy them. I guess for the most part, it's not. She can't watch them, but I'd probably end up having to go by myself if I went to go see that movie. But I'll wait for it to come out on like a streaming service, and I'll definitely check it out because I'm curious to see. I just want to see how the story progresses. And but I'll tell you this though, we already lined up our tickets for Eternals that's coming out November 5th.
Oh yeah.
So we got our tickets already bought for that, even though it's like a few weeks out.
Right.
So it's gonna be me and my wife and a couple of friends of ours. We're gonna go out to check it out at the theater down the street here. So I'm looking forward to that one.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would recommend if you're gonna watch it and you don't remember the movies, watch the very first one, like the old timey first one. Watch the one from 2018 because it's a direct sequel, so it kind of retcons all the stuff in between. And then watch this one. So those are the only 3 you need to watch. Like all the stuff in between, it's not necessary because they pretty much retcon it.
Yeah. How many movies were there?
There's a lot of in between movies, like but none of them really count anymore because they kind of rebooted the timeline, which I appreciate. Like they did the same thing with Terminator. Like some of these movies don't exist anymore. Like retcon all that.
Damn.
Not necessary.
They got Halloween 6. What the? Damn, I didn't know they made that many.
Yeah. I haven't watched all of them, but I watched enough of them where I'm just like, yeah, that's not necessary.
Right. You know what's up.
Yeah. But yeah, I am excited about Eternals. I can't wait for that joint to drop. We can't pre-order tickets here. I just got to show up. So I'm gonna show up early for that one because Halloween surprised me. It was packed. Like, the theater was full of people. Yeah. So I was very surprised. So I'm gonna make sure I show up early to the Eternals and the Spider-Man. Psychonauts 2, I like it. It's kind of scratching the itch on the collectathon type stuff as I run around and grab the figments and what have you. Platformy. So it's like Banjo and Kazoo.
Yeah. Very
with the platformy and
that.
collectathon. So I like it.
Yeah.
What else did I do? I think that's pretty much it. I took CHFI. It was not a success. I might circle back to it, but I moved on to Azure. So I'm doing the LinkedIn tutorials, like the video tutorials as a primer. And then I'm going to go into O'Reilly books and pick up a guide for AZ900. Because I believe that's the first test. And then start studying for that. I give myself probably
fundamentals.
Couple months to dig through the material and whatnot, and then attempt the test. Because I'm pretty interested, but I'm in chapter 3 or 4 of the video series, and they're already talking over my head. Like just some of the terms I don't know because I'm not, you know what I mean? Like I'm a on-premise type dude. Like I'm used to seeing everything in front of me. So as they discuss public versus private cloud and all that stuff, like that's all new to me. So it's exciting. I like it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fills some gaps. So
it's an important, I think, skill set to have as far as like as you grow in your IT career or whatever. It seems to be where a lot of places are moving towards. Even like DoD, there was even a big contract that I think it's like a JEDI contract for DoD that they're putting together.
Yeah.
Kind of it got awarded to Microsoft, but then it was contested by AWS or Amazon, and kind of went back and forth. But that's like a big joint like enterprise like cloud initiative that they're trying to put together. And even without that, there's a lot of initiatives within individual like organizations that are trying to push to the cloud, and a lot of civilian, obviously, standard like just the civilian companies and stuff like that are obviously big into the cloud nowadays. So I think it's good that you're trying to get your skill set up with that, and I think the fundamentals is a good one just to start out with, because that is like the entry point, I think, into learning about Azure services.
Yeah.
And,
and I definitely want to strike while it's interesting to me, because like I hate studying for things that I'm not interested in, right? So like I went to CHFI unprepared because I just wasn't feeling it. Like it was one of those situations where I didn't want the voucher to expire. So I was like, I don't want to waste the money as well as I want to get the experience. But I think that one was like 150 questions or something like that. And I was just like,
yeah, that was
I wish this was adaptive. I wish it was adaptive, and it just cut me off, because we know where this is going. We know where this is going.
Yeah. Dang. Do you know how close you got? Or was it anywhere close, or was it like?
Oh, I was poor in several different, not necessarily domains, but just areas. Gotcha. I half-heartedly went into it just because that date. As soon as I saw what the date was, I was like, yeah. So I probably put in an hour a day for 4 or 5 days. So not nearly enough to get back to where I should be with the knowledge of the tools and just different types of data and how it fits in the registry was not there at that time. So like I said, I may circle back to it. Right now I'm gonna focus on cloud.
Yeah, that sounds good. I like it.
So I'd like to jump into the 6th generation of consoles, if we may, because every week we've been talking about the different generations. So we started with the 3rd generation because that's where we all started at, back with the Sega Master System, Atari 7800, and NES. No one had an Atari 7800 in this panel. Then we talked about the 4th generation was the NEC TurboGrafx 16, Sega Genesis, SNK, Neo Geo, and the Super NES. No one had a TurboGrafx 16 or a Neo Geo. I had a cousin who had Neo Geo, who he had the CD-based one, not the cartridge-based one. Then you have the 5th generation, was the Sega Saturn, the PS1, and the Nintendo 64. And then we had a fight, a physical fight broke out because some people's passion for the N64. But I always wanted a Saturn, never had a Saturn. And that was, in my opinion, the downfall of Sega. Because when we get to the 6th generation, we talk about the Sega Dreamcast, the PS2, the Nintendo GameCube, and the Xbox. This one is where we started to pare down. The company started to fall off. And I think that Sega had a marvelous system. This is one of my favorite systems of all time, the Sega Dreamcast. But the Saturn had beat them up so bad that it was a no-go. But before I start, getting into my take on that generation, what did you guys have?
So like you were saying, the Sega Dreamcast was one of my go-tos back in the heyday. I don't think I'm trying to think of when I actually got the Sega Dreamcast. I was looking at the list just now. I'm sorry, I'm kind of turned away here, but I'm just looking at the list just kind of remind myself of all the
So it dropped $99.99. It dropped on September 9th, 1999. That was the big marketing campaign. I did not get it then though. I had to wait until Sam's Club had a deal. Right.
Because I remember now that I did get I got the PlayStation on its release date, which was, I'm pretty sure it's before the Dreamcast came out, if I remember correctly. Because I remember waiting, it's actually my mom and I were waiting at a Walmart, and we waited for it to they actually were selling it at midnight, which was I think it's kind of uncommon nowadays. They wait till it actually opens up at 7 a.m. or something. But they actually let you stay there. We got there maybe, I don't know, it might have been 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And we just stayed in the store. They had a line forming by their, I think at the time they had layaway or something like that, or a area in the store where you can I guess you can pick things up and stuff like that, but it's a little different nowadays. I don't think I see that same kind of stuff here nowadays, but they had a line forming there because that was like the best area for them to form a line. And we just waited in the store, hung out with some people for a few hours until they released it late, at that midnight hour. So that's when I got that PlayStation 2. PlayStation 2 was like, that was an awesome system because that was like back when that's when they included the DVD player. That's one of the first consoles that had like a DVD player. And so it's like a big thing, like, oh man, not only can you play games, you just watch your movies. And that's what like a lot of people did. Even people that didn't want to play games on it, they're just like, let me get it as a DVD player and I'll play games occasionally if I feel like it. But I remember that being a big deal. And that made me think about at the time, and it kind of, it's been so long, but I kind of forgot how it played out. But I used to work at Best Buy, and I remember us getting prepared for the PlayStation 2 release, and they had us do some training, like, a week before the release, and they had us, training on the PlayStation. They gave us pizza. We were getting paid. And so that was like an internal joke with me and the guys. We were like, yeah, we're getting the 3 Ps, getting pizza, PlayStation, paid. And, we're getting all the 3 Ps to be here today. So it was pretty fun. They trained us on it, told us about all the accessories that come with it. And I think they might have had some, like, a little bit of swag or something they gave to us. But I remember, like, getting ready for that release. And, I had to get it from Walmart because I think I couldn't get it like the day of the release at Best Buy because they're keeping it for the customers. So I made the effort to go to Walmart instead. But that was a pretty awesome console in itself, and similar to the PlayStation, I had a chance to play like demos. And I had like subscriptions to like it was like a PSN magazine, and they had like demos that come out every month. So it's pretty cool to do that and play, watch the DVDs on it. But then when the Dreamcast came out, I got that kind of on a whim. I didn't really think about it too much. I didn't get it the day it was released. But I remember going to like stores. I think I went to like Toys R Us, and I'd see it like set up in the side, and it had Sonic on it, and it looked really good because I think the graphics at that point, I think that had slightly better graphics than the PlayStation 2, if I remember correctly. Because I think it was like they kind of upgraded the graphics at that time. It had better like GPU and stuff inside of it. But I remember when I got my Dreamcast, one of my favorite games of all time was NFL 2K1. And me and my boys would play that all the time. We would get on that, like playing online. And I remember back in the day, we used to hook it up. We had to use like the free internet. We'd either use like Net Zero. Yeah, Net Zero. And it was like, you couldn't just use it like normally. You'd have to use like a little hack. At least what I did. Like you couldn't like just enter your username and password. You had to kind of go like a roundabout way to make it like work because it wasn't like designed for it. So I think Sega had its own like, I don't know if it was like MSN or some other like subscriber, like internet service provider that they had at the time that that was required to like connect. But I remember using Net Zero, and I think maybe AOL worked some kind of way. You had to use you had to finagle with it some kind of way. But you can use that, and this is back in the dial-up days. So to make sure that's clear, it's not like a cable internet or anything like that. Not even DSL. It's just like straight up dial-up internet. But I remember playing NFL 2K1, talking junk on there, just using the keyboard. They had a keyboard that came out. You can talk some junk on it. I can't remember some of the junk talking I did back in the day, but it was fun. It was me and a good friend of mine at the time. We would get on there and just like start, like we were like dominating people left and right. Like, and I wasn't even really big into football. Like I didn't really know all the players. But I just like the mechanics of the game. I like to use the juke, right. The juke mechanic they had in there at the time, and then you could spin and all that stuff. But I remember like I only had like 3 or 4 plays that were like my go-to plays that I use like every time, like in any situation. Like, okay, they're rushing. Okay, I'm gonna go with this play. If they're like playing like a little bit more like zone defense or whatever, I use a different play. But I just like we would just be dominating people. But then they had a lot of other games on the Power Stone and. Like I said, the Sonic game, and then Chit Set Radio, Choo Choo Rocket. They had a bunch of games on there that I got into. And I'm trying to think of some other ones. Oh, even there's like a weird game. I forgot what it's called. Like it was like Seaman something.
Yep, I had it. Yep.
Yeah, I had that game too. It's kind of weird, but it's fun at the same time. But like you start off with like a little tadpole thing, and then like you have to raise it, and it had like a human face, but it was like a fish body. It was like some weird game.
You had a microphone attachment in your controller to talk to it.
Yeah, you have to talk to it. It was so weird, but it was fun. And I think there's some other games as well. I can't think of it at the top of my head, but that was one of my favorites. And I never had a GameCube or an Xbox at the time, but I played it later on. I definitely enjoyed playing like the GameCube. I played some like Mario Sunshine and some other ones that came off of the GameCube. Oh, some like Wind Waker. I think it was called Wind Waker. Zelda, like a Zelda game. Yeah, I played a little bit of that. So I enjoyed that as well. But for some reason, I don't know. I didn't like the GameCube. Didn't like catch my attention. Like I wanted to get it right away. And plus, I was like limited on resources at the time too. I didn't want to like spend a bunch of money on these games. I already had like 2 consoles. I don't want to get a third console and the Xbox too as well. But yeah. So that was. I think that's maybe that summarizes my my dip into the 6th generation of the consoles. But how about you guys? How about you, Shannon? What you got?
So I did have a Dreamcast, but the only game I remember playing was NBA 2K, which was on that thing. And I remember the packs used to put in there that had the LED on it, like used to put it in the controller and whatnot.
Yeah, right. They're called VMUs.
Right, I love those things too. Yeah, that's so cool.
That was cool. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. But like, I don't remember having that one for long though, and I didn't play it. So again, so this goes into I was just getting into the military. You know what I mean? So like at the time, my wife and I worked different shifts. So like whenever she was gone, I would be watching my daughter. You know what I mean? And then I'd be on. You know what I mean? So it was one of those things where it was like I didn't have a lot of time to play video games. Because my daughter was running around getting into stuff. She was young. She was younger. I was like,
right.
Yeah. But it was Dreamcast. I do remember liking it though. I was like, man, this is awesome. You know what I mean? Yeah. I did have a PS2, and that I had a few games for that too. Right? It was the wrestling, the Madden. I've been playing Madden for years. But yeah, I didn't get a lot of run out of them, man. I think it's just one of those things where I had it probably because everybody else was getting them, and again, I don't even remember how I acquired it. Like I don't remember if it was a gift, if I bought it myself, or what. I was a young airman, not making much money back in those days.
Right.
Yeah. But I don't even remember how I acquired it, but I remember I was like, man, this is a good system.
Right. Yeah.
Dreamcast, but yeah.
And I remember now that you mentioned it, like I was put up a quick list of Dreamcast games. I remember now like Soul Calibur came out. That was like a big game.
Oh yeah, Soul Calibur.
Yeah. I completely forgot about that one. And then like Fantasy Star Online, which was a big one for me as well. I used to play that.
PSO.
Crazy. Yeah, PSO. That was like one of my. Yeah. I put so much time to that. And then Shenmue, which was like it was like a
forklift simulator.
Yeah, pretty much. Exactly.
Remember being in the factory using the forklift?
Yeah, it's like, what the hell am I doing? Yeah, that was so crazy. And then, what was I going to mention? Crazy Taxi. That was a big one for me too. I used to play that all the time. And I just ended up looking at it. It's called Project Justice Rival Schools, which is a Capcom game. You remember that when you're like school, like a school theme, and they had like a baseball team, like with a baseball player, and they had like a cheerleader person and like the gym teacher and all this other. I remember that being like pretty badass game, and I like the mechanics in that one. Yeah,
I think Dead or Alive dropped for it too, right? Dead or Alive was on Dreamcast.
Yep, Dead or Alive. Yeah, those are some big games too.
Yeah,
I remember. Yeah, Dead or Alive. Yeah, I remember just because it's a very sexual game. So people were like, "Oh man, let me."
Yeah, there's the balancing physics.
Right, bounded.
You're like,
that's right.
we were so immature.
Right, so immature. Like, oh, look at the bounce! Wow.
So did that start on Dreamcast? Because I remember that for PlayStation. I thought was
it came over. I want to say like they market things are better played on this platform, better played on that platform. I want to say the Dreamcast was like the hallmark platform for fighters at the time.
I feel like it too. Yeah, it seemed like it had a lot of fighting games for sure.
Yeah. So like Dreamcast, again, my favorite console of all time. But I had all of these systems in this generation because it's when I finally started to have disposable income, quote unquote disposable income. Should probably have spent it on better things, but so I had a Dreamcast. I got it from Sam's Club. My mom got it for me. It came with an extra controller, a VMU, and Sonic Adventure because Sega was just not doing well at the time, right? So they were trying to put it in people's hands. And then I bought Power Stone. I bought Seaman. It was a really weird game. Really weird game.
Yeah.
2K. So I played 2K1 basketball. I played NFL 2K. Remember, you could choose your plays on the VMU, so
that's right.
Your rival couldn't see you play.
Hell yeah. That was another. That was a
man. The VMU was amazing. So, but the VMU, like, because also with Sonic Adventure, you had like your little, I forget what they were called, but you had these little creatures that would go in your VMU, and you could take care of them like a Tamagotchi.
Right.
I used to play the mess out of it, but the VMUs didn't recharge. Like there was no way to recharge them. You had to buy batteries for them. They had the flat nickel batteries.
Right. Yeah.
It was the most expensive accessory.
Yeah.
Because the things would go dead so fast.
Right.
Way ahead of his time. So yeah, it was like a portable unit that you could slide into controller. So if no one's ever seen it, you should check it out. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I didn't really get into online because I didn't have the ability to, so I couldn't play Choo Choo Rocket and other games like that. Like I really wanted to play so bad, we just didn't have the means. But like you said, I played Jet Set Radio. I played Dead or Alive because I was again immature. Man, there's so many games. Like you said, Rival Schools was on there. That was amazing. My favorite though, because Sonic Adventure was good and what have you. My favorite was Resident Evil Code Veronica, released on the Dreamcast before any other system. It was exclusive for a while. My favorite Resident Evil of all time.
Oh damn!
It was good. It looked amazing at the time. I'm sure it looks like crap now. But yeah, I love that console. Its life was cut way too short, man. Sega just could not. They didn't have it no more, man. Saturn ruined them.
Yeah. I never had a chance to play that.
I wish I had lived. No, I was gonna say I wish I had lived.
Yeah. I was gonna say I didn't have a chance to play the Resident Evil Code Veronica. It looks like a pretty cool game, and I was gonna correct myself earlier because I said Jet Set Radio. It's actually Jet Grind Radio.
Jet Grind Radio.
Jet Grind Radio. But yeah. But yeah, it's like it's such an underrated console. It has so many good games on it. That Unreal Tournament. I think that was released on the Dreamcast as well.
But Crazy Taxi, like you said, I forgot about Crazy Taxi. That was like if you never played Crazy Taxi, that game is amazing. It's so much fun. Like the soundtrack was crazy because it was like a 90s soundtrack.
Yeah.
it had all the radio jams on there.
That's the truth. Yeah.
But I also had a PS2. I think I bought my PS2. I was working for I graduated high school. I was working for a bank, and they extended me a line of credit. And the first thing I bought was a PS2.
So you got credit.
I was paying for the PS2 for years after its life was over.
Damn.
But great games on the PS2. Like I pretty much played any of the classics that came out. And like you said, it was the first DVD player that everybody had in their house, right? So watching movies on it, playing music. Pretty much everything was ported over or came to the PS2 at some point. I can't remember any standouts from the PS2. I mean, you had your oh man, it was made by Zipper Interactive. It was a shooter that everybody used to play. It wasn't SOCOM. Was it SOCOM? Yeah, it was SOCOM. So you had SOCOM. Yep. You had SOCOM. You had the Metal Gears that were on it. Like I just can't, because I was so enamored with the Dreamcast and this topic. I can't remember what PS2 games I played, but it was definitely a staple in the household. Like the PS2 got lots of Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto 2. No,
San
3.
Andreas.
Grand Theft Auto 3. Yeah, so Grand Theft Auto 3, which was because I played 2. I didn't really get into it because it was top down or whatever. But Grand Theft Auto 3, I put 1,000 hours in that thing. And then, like you said, San Andreas came out for it. And that's the only Grand Theft Auto I never finished because it was too big. And Vice City, right?
Was that the first God of War 2 came out on PS2?
Yeah.
Was that 3?
No, was it one? Did the first one come out on PS1? And then the sequel came out on PS2?
I thought it was a PS2 when I first played it. And it could have been out for a while, but a friend of mine put me on and I was like, this is a good game.
Yeah. At least one of them was on there, if not two of them. But I can't remember the original. Did the original come out on PS1 or PS2?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's PS2.
PS2?
Yeah. I think it was probably
an amazing series.
Yeah. It's probably too advanced for the original PlayStation. PlayStation 1 was pretty limited. But yeah, I think the first one came out on PS2. It looks like it was released in 2005.
Oh, okay, yeah. It definitely falls in that window. Yep.
Yeah.
And then you went through multiple different versions of the controller. I remember there being like different dual shocks because at one point on the PS1 it didn't vibrate, and then on PS2 it did have rumble. Copying the rumble pack from the N64. It was way ahead of its time, right? But yeah, that system it got reps. Like I was playing the mess on my PS2. Then you had the Gamecube. For the Gamecube, I had like you said, Wind Waker was amazing. I had there was a Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time Master Quest that was released. I think I still have that, where they remixed all the dungeons from Ocarina of Time. Like that thing was actually worth money at one point. I gotta find it. It was like double or triple its value not too long ago. Eternal Darkness, that was like a psychological thriller. It used to play with your mind, so you'd be going through it, and as your character became more hysterical, like you would lose like icons, like or at one point it looked like the volume, because remember everybody had the old school volume that was like green on the bottom. It would turn up. It would turn your sound up. But it wasn't really turning your sound up, it was turning the game sound up, but it was playing with your mind. So that was pretty cool. Mario clever. Sunshine, I had that in tech school, so I was playing that, which I think gets a bad rap. It wasn't the worst Mario, it just wasn't the best.
Right.
What else came out? Oh, Resident Evil 4. So that was the one with Leon in the village. You had the top down look. That was a totally different perspective on Resident Evil. That one was pretty good. Obviously Smash, Kart. You had the Mario Party series on there as well. So it got some reps, but it definitely wasn't it wasn't as beloved as any of the other consoles. Oh, yeah, it was, it was a little purple cube with a handle on the back. So people kind of felt some way about it.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it. I played some games on it. And then last came the Xbox. I didn't get an Xbox until 2005. Like my best friend had it. My best friend James, he had an Xbox. I used to go over there play Halo all the time. But I didn't get one until I played it. I played with it in test school because my roommate had one, and we used to play Halo LAN parties, and we'd run the Cat 5 through the AC vents into the different dorm rooms, and we play huge games of Halo together. He had a modded so like the rockets homed in on you. So you'd be running and the rocket be chasing you. So you're running away. So we used to play a lot of Capture the Flag and whatnot. But it was 2005. My wife surprised me, I think, it wasn't Christmas. Was it my birthday? It was one of those two. And she bought me Xbox. So that's when I started to really get into Microsoft, which felt like a spiritual successor to the Dreamcast. Because I think the OS in the Dreamcast was made by Microsoft, because it had the Microsoft sticker on the front of it. And then the guy who was in charge, I can't remember his name because I'm terrible with names, but when the Dreamcast died, he moved over to be in charge of Microsoft, I believe, game studios for the Xbox. So like literally they plugged in people from the Sega Dreamcast era into Microsoft to start building their gaming side of the house. So it just felt like a good move. Like you really felt those Sega vibes moving over. So that was probably the last generation where I had so much game gaming activity.
Yeah.
Because I was playing games across all of them throughout that entire, like they say on Wikipedia it's 98 to 2013 was pretty much the span of that generation, was pretty huge. And I played games on all those consoles to death.
That's incredible. Yeah. I didn't get a chance to invest that much time into it, but I think that's pretty cool that you actually had all the consoles from that generation. Had the chance to like play the game.
Yeah, my Dreamcast got stolen. Sad story. But I had the opportunity to buy another one. Yeah, I had the opportunity to buy another one for $99, brand new in the package. They were selling them because they found a warehouse Dreamcast somewhere, and they were selling them for $100. And I was like, I'll be okay. I don't know why I didn't buy it. Why didn't I buy it?
How dare you? I still have my Dreamcast. I put it back in the original box. It's just chilling right now, but.
If I ever see another one, if it ever pops up, I will definitely buy it. I will.
Hey, I'll sell you mine for 3 times the original market MSRP.
Right.
Now, would you buy it to play it or buy it just to have it as an investment type thing? Like,
to display it. Like my wife brought up several times. She was like, "Why don't you just keep these and then just put them in your game room, like to showcase them?" I'm just like, I'm not big into, like, I'm like, both me and her are both minimalists. So like my thing is like, how much money can I get from this thing to get my new thing and get it out of here as possible? But now as I get older, I'm like, yeah, I could. That would have been cool to have like a cabinet with all the systems I played on.
Yeah,
that would be cool. But
yeah, I think about that all the time. I do that nowadays. I'm just like I sold my PS4, but I keep my kind of my nostalgic like consoles. I still have my Nintendo, I still have my PS2, still have my Dreamcast, and I think I still have my PlayStation, my original PlayStation. But yeah, those nostalgic consoles I kind of kept. But nowadays I do kind of get rid of the older ones. Like I got rid of my, like I said, the PS4, and actually I still have my PS3. I kept my PS3 because it can play all the original PS1s and PS2 games.
Right. Yeah, you had the real one.
Yeah,
the real
PS3. Yeah, the fatty, which we'll probably talk to next week. But, yeah.
That's what's up. But yeah,
and you can get you a Dreamcast on eBay pretty easy. I mean, they have some on there. You can pick it up if you truly want to hold on to one. But they're selling for like $100. Yeah,
I might look into it. I might try to grab one because why not, right?
Yeah.
But I say that pretty much like I think we did the thing with that one.
That's right.
And as we move forward, it will start to taper off. Like, I still had a good run for Gen 7, but like Gen 8 and then Gen 9, I started tapering off. Trying to get back there because I have nothing but opportunity and time, right? But I don't know, something about getting older. It's just like I could be doing X or Y with my time. So so we'll see. But as always, thank you, Shannon. Thank you, LeVon. It was a great episode. Please continue to tune in. Next week, we're going to talk about Gen 7. So that'll be the Microsoft Xbox 360, the PS3, and the Nintendo Wii. I had all those as well. But some of them didn't get no game time. We'll talk about that next week. But definitely continue to tune in. Like I said, Monday was a pretty good topic where we talked about Missouri potentially going after a quote unquote hacker who was a journalist who disclosed that there was a data leak and waited for them to fix it. On Tuesday, we discussed how Homeland is starting to get more involved in securing and defending the homeland, pun not intended, when it comes to cyber attacks and how they could potentially be deadly. We've talked about that in the past as well. On Wednesday, we had a very good discussion with Mr. Gabriel Davis. Gabe is a member of CISA. He goes into his background, how he's an HBCU grad on the STEM side, as well as how he works for CISA and what he does with vulnerabilities, and then just a little bit of his background as well. And then there probably won't be an Ask a CISP episode. I promise one is coming. One is coming. But look out for that. It'll pop up in your feed. So definitely like, share, subscribe. So the way you see it when it pops up. Continue to give us your feedback. We greatly appreciate it. Let us know what you like, what you don't like. So we're not just talking to the void for several hours of our day. We like to know what you like, so we could talk about it. Hit up the website www.theothersideofthefirewall.com, where you get to all the social medias. You can hit me up personally. I'm at RyRy Security Guy. That's RYRY Security Guy. I'm on Clubhouse, LinkedIn, TikTok, and Twitter. And you, LeVon?
Hit me up on the Twitters at LeVon Maynard.
There it is. Stay safe. Stay secure.
Take care.